We're going to go right up to the stage. Make sure that they indicate the electronic color, right? Hello, everybody. Nice to see you all.
Hey, how are you?
Let's go on the stage. Yeah, everyone behind the podium on the stage, please. Hello, everybody.
Welcome, everyone. Senator Schumer, please join us on the stage. I think we have everyone. Thank you. Welcome. My name is Tom Cunningham. I'm the stakeholder manager for the Beacon Wind Project. Really excited to be here. I want to do two quick things before I hand the microphone over to Costa Constantinides. This is his house, his show, and he'll be your MC tonight. I wanted to say first, safety. We have two emergency exits, one right there, and the front door just down the hallway straight out. We don't expect any alarms or emergencies, but should we hear one or we be asked to leave, we will all do so in an orderly manner, straight out those doors. Second, I want to recognize some important individuals in the community who are here with us today. Community Board 1 Chair Marie Torniali, Nikos Tsiazas he's the president of the Pan-Cyprian Youth Soccer Club. His partner, George Sophocleus of Lions Mortgage Services. George, did I get your name right? I did. And very importantly, Olga Chistiakova of BP Americas is also here. But without further ado, let me hand the mic to the man of the hour, Costa.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Variety Boys and Girls Club of Queens. We are so excited to host you today and so excited to talk about this partnership and think about not just the past and where we've been, but the future and where this community is going, where Equinor and BP is going, and where our community is going into the 21st century. I know that we have Senator Schumer with us, our Majority Leader of the U.S. Senate. Thank you, Senator, for being here. I have more accolades to bestow upon you when I introduce you later, but thank you, Senator Schumer. We have Molly Morris, the president of Equinor Wind US. We have my brother representing this community, Zoran Mamdani, in the New York State Assembly. We have our state senator, who's new to this community, but not new to Queens politics, and Tobian Stavitsky. We have our Assembly member, Juan Ardilla, who represents just north of here in Long Island City and is a new exciting Assembly member here in the Assembly. Thank you, Juan. And we have Georges Sassin, who's the Vice President of Large Scale Renewables in New York State's NYSERDA. Thank you. Thank you for all your work. And Vicky Cirillo, Deputy Director of the Strategic Partnerships for the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice. Thank you, Vicky, for being here today. So today we think about the past and our community's relationship with power. We've thought about, this has been, any one given day, 55% of the city's power can come from this community. And, there's been a cost to that. This club was established in 1955. We were on 21st Street. You have the Astoria houses, the Ravenswood houses, and the Queensbridge houses, all west of where it's been redlined, all next to fossil fuel generation. And those communities have been dealing with asthma higher than the Queensborough average for generations. I know my good friend Claudia Koger, who's a former head of the Astoria Tenants Association, will speak to her entire generations of families. And all of our kids that we represent dealing with asthma. And my own son, I remember when he was young having an asthma medication, a liquid, another medication, then taking something to settle his stomach because he just took all of that. Then he ate breakfast. Then he would have to put a nebulizer over his face Not just, when he was sick. That was just Tuesday. So, we're talking about systemic asthma and environmental racism in this community. But we're helping to change that today. We're helping, we have the fight led, that the announcement that's being made today by both Equinor and BP through the Beacon Wind Project. We have an exciting future to look forward to here in Western Queens. We have an excitement for this Boys and Girls Club, and I see Kitty Prager and Ralph Raphael and Walter Sanchez, our president, our Boys and Girls Club here, and Mega Construction, our construction partners. We're building the future here with Equinor, BP, through the Beacon Wind Project. We're building the workforce of the 21st century. We're going to have the brand new Technology and Media Center here, this investment that Equinor and BP are making in this neighborhood. It's going to ensure that our young people are they've been on the forefront of fossil fuel infrastructure. They've been on the forefront of Asthma Alley. They're now going to be on the forefront and the leaders on Renewable Row. That's the hope for our future. So we, on behalf of the current 4,000 young people that we serve, because they're past and the future, right? We've served currently 4,000 young people. The new Equinor Technology and Media Lab will help us serve 16,000 young people in our new building. And with that, help us serve the kids who need it the most. 77% of the kids we currently serve are below the poverty line. There are 8,000 young people in this neighborhood below that same poverty line. We're going to be able to meet that challenge of the 21st century, help them become the leaders, help them be the scientists of the 21st century. So to Equinor, to BP, for this Beacon Wind Project and their investments in the community, thank you. We are looking forward to this partnership. We're looking forward to a bright, renewable energy future here in Western Queens. And with that, let me bring up the individual who is making this happen for us, who is their vision, of their corporate vision, is helping to make this a reality. They're changing fossil fuels to renewables. I want to bring up Molly Morris, the president of Equinor Wind US. And I want to recognize my good friend who just walked in, Assembly Member Jessica Gonzalez Rojas. Thank you, Assembly Member, for being here.
Great. Thank you so much for that very energetic opening. And first, I'd like to say that this is not only me. I have a ton of people here with me from Equinor who are really the ones that are driving this project forward and driving these initiatives. So thank you guys for all of your hard work. First, before I get started, I want to thank especially the Majority Leader Schumer, who's standing right behind me, for being here today. We are really proud to stand here with you to make these exciting announcements. But I also want to make sure that we thank you not only for being such an effective leader for New York, but also for promoting the offshore wind industry and all the jobs and the economic benefits that come from this new industry. Your leadership on the Inflation Reduction Act has ensured that important funding will come to our industry to help it get off the ground in the United States and to help us build this renewable energy, create jobs, and create a local supply chain. As we join together to celebrate a key victory on environmental justice issues that are so important to the community in the project that we are doing here, I want to make sure to acknowledge your leadership and being a critical part of it. So today, it's a great day for Astoria, for Queens, and for New York State, and for all those who have actively supported offshore wind development because they believe, like us, in the change that this source of renewable energy can deliver as part of America's energy transition. In fact, New York's ambitious renewable energy targets and the investment climate that the city, the state, and our federal government initiated to help get projects like ours off and running are responsible for us coming together today for these exciting announcements. So today, I'm proud to announce not one, but two big initiatives, both centered here in Astoria, with the acquisition of the site of the Astoria gas turbines, which we will transform into the Astoria Gateway for Renewable Energy, a key connection point between the New York grid and the renewable energy generated at Equinor and BP's Beacon Wind offshore wind farm, and a substantial investment in community resources focused right here on the Variety Boys and Girls Club to benefit the youth of Queens for decades to come. Both of these initiatives are focused on long-term outcomes. First, the energy investment. Equinor and BP will transform the existing site into a converter station for renewable power coming from our Beacon Wind project, 60 miles east of Montauk. Beacon Wind will produce enough energy to power 1 million New York homes, and the new Astoria Gateway for Renewable Energy will connect that offshore wind power into the New York grid for decades to come. We are proud to help make Astoria a gateway for renewables, channeling this new power source to the city and the state and creating a just transition for workers. That is a big investment in New York's energy future. But as we've been saying at Equinor since we began these projects a few years ago, offshore wind industry is much more than bringing renewable power to New York homes. It's about investing in our future, in our youth, in jobs, and in the communities that are at the forefront of this transformation. That's why I'm also proud to announce an education investment to create opportunities for youth right here in Astoria to help build that future. Beacon Wind is launching a $1 million partnership for the community-based technology and media center, and also sponsoring an additional $750,000 over the next 10 years to support a science and technology program for youth right here at the Variety Boys and Girls Club. The program's curriculum will create early education opportunities, programs that can be a gateway to New York's renewable energy sector, a sector that grows month by month and will continue to grow for decades to come. These two investments in our renewable energy infrastructure and our education infrastructure are focused on the long term. Because Beacon Wind and the offshore wind industry are committed to the long term, and we're committed to driving the transformational change that everyone in this room needs and wants. And we'll make sure that we do this together. Thank you very much for being here today, for your support. And now I would like to introduce the Senate Majority Leader and our New York State Senator, Chuck Schumer.
Thank you, Molly Morris. It is great to be here today. I want to acknowledge the great group we have, elected officials, community leaders, business leaders, a true coalition. And you know, when you can do there's sort of three legs to the stool that can make us very happy. Green energy, good paying jobs, and then environmental justice. And this does all three. And that's one of the great things about what we're here to do today. But also what's so great is a few years ago it didn't look that good. And now it does. And so let me just say this. First, I want to acknowledge who changed this all around. The hundreds of organizers, of volunteers who worked so hard to change the status quo, to make this celebration what it is today. You know, it was 2 years ago I was out here in Western Queens for a different press conference. I don't avoid press conferences, you know that. With a slightly different crew, fewer suits, and a lot more banners. Some of you were there. And we were working our hardest to stop NRG from overhauling this peaker plant that used to be at this site. And Costa mentioned this area was known as Asthma Alley, because it had such a dense concentration of people, but also such a dense concentration of plants that spewed poison into our atmosphere. Well, we wanted to send a message for both this community and the entire state. We were serious about the transition to clean energy. We worked tirelessly to block that project. We organized, we spoke out. Hundreds of everyday Astoria residents made their voices heard. I even made a comment, you know, as a U.S. Senator, you're not supposed to go to public hearings of the PSC. I said, I'm going. And I made a statement on the hearing there, which I hadn't done in a long time. But my remarks that day pointed out that some people were trying to frame this as a false dichotomy. They were saying it's a choice, false choice, between jobs and climate justice. Well, that was bullshit. They say that a fossil fuel infrastructure like this one that was planned for the site would create jobs, so we should accept what it would do to our community and to our planet. We should accept the asthma and the diseases and everything else that came along with it. We said no, it's a false choice. So I'm so glad today that the folks at Equinor have purchased this site and proved us right. So thank you for that. This is the perfect next step in the story. The site of an old pollution-belching plant converted to clean energy that will put people in Western Queens to work with good-paying, family-sustaining jobs, many of whom would never have had the opportunity to have those kinds of jobs before. But that's just the start of the next part of the story. Equinor and its partners are going to be in this community for a long time, and they're putting down some real roots to prove it. These great investments at the Variety Boys and Girls Club of Queens. I asked a minute ago, how did it get the name Variety? I've been here many times, but I never, does anyone know?
Variety Children's Charity.
Variety Children's Charity.
They named it about 25 years ago.
Got it, okay, that's a nice name. Okay, anyway, there you go. Learn something every day. So that boys and girls from this neighborhood can grow up to be part of a clean energy future. And we're going to continue to work with Equinor as partners to bring more community benefits here to Western Queens. But this is a great metaphor, what happened here in Queens, for the broader change we're making in this country. Together, we passed the most significant climate legislation in the history. We are going to reduce the amount of poisonous carbon that goes into our atmosphere by 40% by 2030. And part of that is green, clean energy of the type that Equinor is doing in terms of offshore wind. We got all this wind. We got a lot of people. We need to connect the two. And this plant, this new plant, will do just that. 1 million homes to get clean energy that's going to end up being cheaper energy for them, cheaper appliances for them. It's going to be a great thing. And you know, one of our goals is to make Long Island, including Brooklyn, Queens part of Long Island, the offshore wind center of the country. And it's on the way to happening with this kind of investment. So the IRA is making a huge difference, and what's happening here in Queens, frankly, it's wonderful, it's beautiful, but it's just the beginning. We're going to keep fighting and fighting and fighting till we really reduce all the poisons going into our atmosphere, get above that 40% in the years to come, make sure that all of our energy is green and clean, and make us a healthier, happier Queens and a healthier, happier world. Thank you, everybody. Sorry, I have to go. Bye.
Thank you, Senator Schumer. Thank you for your great leadership, and thank you to all of you do for our state, our country, and our Boys and Girls Club. Thank you. I also see our friends here from Local 3. are the electricians that make our power go, so thank you for being here today. I know our friends from Mount Sinai, Queens Hospital are here as well, and I know that I see Mother Koger, my mother, Claudia Koger, who's the former leader of our Astoria Tenants Association. So if you'd like to come join us, Claudia, you're more than welcome up here. Next up, I want to bring up my good friend, someone since he's been in office has been fighting for climate justice and fighting for our transition away from fossil fuel, our assembly member from this district, Zoran Mamdani.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is such a pleasure and a privilege to be here with you all, especially because if we had listened to the words of NRG all those years ago, a day like today would never have happened. This is a repudiation of the idea that fossil fuel executives should set the limits of possibility in Astoria, in New York City, in New York State, and across this country. I really want to build upon the words of Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer in the fact that we were presented false choices in this neighborhood. And it's the people of this neighborhood that recognized those choices as false, organized against them, and got us to a place where the application to build a frack gas power plant in our neighborhood was rejected. And I distinctly remember getting a phone call from the head of the Department of Environmental Conservation in New York State, Basil Sagos, informing me that that application had been rejected. And he said that at the core of the rejection was the organizing that Astorians had done to create the space for the state to make the right decision. And it is a beautiful day today that on top of that rejection, we have shown that our vision is an affirmative vision. It is not simply in opposition to what we see and what is being proposed, it is to fight for something. And that thing is renewable energy. And today, yes, I mean, we should clap for it a little bit. What is so exciting for me is that for so long, the simple word of energy in Astoria has been associated with pollution. Because when I came into office in January of 2021, I remember a meeting in my office with one of my staff members who grew up in this neighborhood, and she told me that at recess, she used to compare inhalers in middle school. That's how rampant asthma has been in our neighborhood. And what we are trying to do here is not just exchange renewable for fossil fuel and have the energy system work as it has been working, but rather to show that a change in the way that we generate energy is also a change in the way that we value the lives of Astorians. And so what we're seeing here today is a commitment by Equinor not only to green our grid to the course of, we're talking about more than 1 million homes, but also to ensure that when Astorians are asked about renewable energy, they know it means it comes with investments such as these. It comes with investing in the very Astorians who've been left behind by a dirty energy system. And I am so excited for this investment, and I thank Equinor, and I am also extremely excited and inspired by the prospect of what is still yet to come, as our neighborhood works hand in hand with Equinor and with every other renewable energy partner that we can find across Queens to ensure that the future we build looks nothing like the past that we are still recovering from. So I thank Equinor, I thank President Mali for being here, I thank so many others who I have been in conversations with, and especially my colleagues who have made sure that we had a united front in Albany and in Astoria when calling for the vision that we have had. And I'm very, very happy that today begins that chapter, and I cannot wait for all that is to come. Thank you so much.
Next up, I want to bring up not a stranger to Queens politics, but someone who's new to this community representing us. We're so excited that she's one of our representatives now, our good friend, State Senator Toby Stavisky.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody, really. I am new to, as Costa said, to the community, but I'm not new to Queens, obviously. I see the symbolism here. About 4 years ago in New York State, we made a commitment when we passed the New York Clean Energy Act That was a commitment to renewable energy, to 70% renewable energy within a few years of now. But I see it further as one of the best examples of, to me, renewable energy is this club. Because what is more renewable than future generations? And the commitment made by all of the stakeholders, the commitment to the community and to the young people, and I find this particularly important because in Albany, I chair the Committee on Higher Education, and we look to the future for our young people, and it's right here in Astoria. So I thank everybody, and let us keep going because the future is limitless. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Stavisky. Next up, we have another great friend of this club and so representative here in Astoria, Assembly Member Jessica Gonzalez Rojas.
This is so exciting. Costa, congratulations. I have spent many decades working in the social justice field, and I've taken a lot of learnings from the indigenous community. I want to remind us that we're on stolen land and broken treaties, and remind us of the commitment that our indigenous communities have, not just for themselves and their children, but their children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and in the next 7 generations. And when I think about what this announcement means today, it is going to impact the next 7 generations of families here in Astoria and across Queens. So thank you, and I commend you all for this work. In a neighborhood that has experienced so much environmental injustice, we have been known as Asthma Alley. And just in the last 2 months, I've gained the community in which the NRG plant sits. So I am thrilled. I'm thrilled that we are removing the decades-old peaker plant and will be converting that to offshore wind and bringing clean, renewable energy and power to our community here in Western Queens. So I thank you all for this partnership. I am overjoyed to hear the investments that this community, that the Boys and Girls Club will receive. I am a mother. Environmental justice means so much to me. As the speaker said, this is about jobs, this is about environmental justice, and this is about renewable energy. But it's also about our children and our families that will benefit for generations to come. So congratulations, I'm proud to be part of it. I'm also proud to have joined the Assembly member in the fight and testifying multiple times and taking actions and organizing communities. It is really the people's win today. Thank you.
Next up, we have another great friend of our club, someone who represents us just north of here, just south of here, but is working hard in the Assembly every day for us, the entirety of Queens, Assembly Member Juan Ardila.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Friday. How you feeling? Feeling good? Feeling good because it's Friday. My name is Juan Ardila, new Assembly member, so I represent Long Island City, Sunnyside, Woodside, and then Central Queens, Ridgewood, and Maspeth. And you know, this is pretty exciting because in my 2 months so far in the Assembly, I learned the 3 B's. Be bold, be brief, and be gone. And so we'll say this is a huge victory, not just because it's Friday, but it's a huge victory because what it is, it signals that we are shifting away from a dependency on fossil fuel and turning into a just transition for renewable energy. And that right there is a huge victory, and it's worthy of all your applause right now because that is a huge, huge victory for our families and Queens. We'll say this as well. Not only is it a huge victory for families in Queens, but if you really contextualize this, we are now repurposing gas turbines to offshore wind, right? What that means is that we are going to provide countless families in Queens with renewable energy.